Okay, so the review of the Huawei Nova Plus will be a little bit of a shorter one, but don't get used to that, because I have my reasons, and it has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a little bit late already with this review, but a few other things, because I pretty much already feel like I have reviewed this phone already, just a smaller version, and it is so close, really so close, besides the design in terms of display, sound, performance, battery life, software, and camera. And if it wouldn't be pretty much identical, I would not do a shorter version of this review. And what you could do now is do the following: watch this review, which will be quite compact, and anything else you want to know, just watch the Huawei Nova review, which I will have linked down in the description, and you won't miss out on anything. You pretty much watch the design part here, and the rest is the same, but I will really cover all the rest super quickly. So let's just do that. Design and build quality. And like I said, this is pretty much the only difference, because obviously it's bigger than the Huawei Nova, but it's still a 5.5 incher that is quite compact though. So I have no complaints here. It is thin, nicely designed. It just doesn't look as nice in my opinion as the Huawei Nova did. And it doesn't nearly feel as nice. It is, of course, since it's bigger, it's not that nice in the hand. But I just mean, in general, there is something about the Huawei Nova, and that's why I said it's the best feeling phone in the hand that I've had, at least the premium ones. And this one, for a 5.5 inch, feels great. But for some reason, the Huawei Nova just made this better. Fingerprint reader is pretty much the same. I would say it is the same. I don't see any difference. It's a great one. The device feels super premium built, doesn't bend or anything like that. Nice chamfered edges. All is top. Of course, the camera sticks out here, which I think it didn't on the Huawei Nova. We have, of course, the microphone, headphone jack, SD card tray, SIM card tray. We have the microphone on the right, we have USB Type-C, and we have the fake speaker holes for symmetry and for the microphone. We have the power button, nicely placed, absolutely, along with the volume rocker, easy to reach, and great tactile and audio feedback. We have a notification LED, and as you can see, we have solid bezels, but we have a black border, which you will see a lot of people don't like it. Get the gray version, which has the black border. So this is pretty much already it. Now the display, let's cover that real quick. 5.5 inches, 1080p IPS, and I won't say anything else than I did on the Nova. Great viewing angles, great brightness, amazing calibration. This is just what I love Huawei for. Their high quality calibrated displays. And I absolutely love this because the colors are great, the white point is great, you can adjust it in the settings. And sorry if I'm being a little bit quick, but it feels repetitive to me and I don't want to take all that much time of yours. So display top notch. Nothing else to say here. It is a very good display. Now about the sound. Speaker. Still good, very good. Almost, I would say almost very good, because it's loud enough in most cases. It sounds totally fine. It could be a little bit richer, but it is absolutely pleasing. There are definitely better ones these days, but it totally gets the job done. What I'm not quite so happy with is the headphone jack. It felt even a little bit weaker than I had it in mind with the Huawei Nova, because it's not really loud and it sounded very flat, quite boring. So I would almost call it weak, but it's pretty much average still. Now, performance. And back then, when I had the Huawei Nova, I said it's really good because I was impressed how well the 625 runs. And you can see this as well. Super smooth and it's quite snappy. But I have to say though, and this is something that I've noticed just a little bit more once I had the Moto Z Play, which has the same SoC but is optimized so much better and runs so much nicer. And the fact that Huawei has to tinker with the scrolling itself is something that I don't like, because therefore it seems like you have a little bit more of slight tiny stutters and a little bit of lag. It is very nice and smooth scrolling, but I don't know, especially Google Plus, you will notice a quite big difference here. Let it quickly load. As you can see here, there is quite a noticeable lag, and I have something quite similar here. For example, let's quickly open. What should we open here? As you can see here, this is the Lenovo P2. Runs just noticeably better. As you can see, super nice and smooth, and with a higher frame rate due to the AMOLED display, it feels even nicer. And this is why this still performs really good. But I just see that there is more potential in the 625, and it is still fully pleasing, absolutely no problems. And the same goes for the games. Moderate, about 30 frames per second frame rates, but I've just seen that it is possible to be better, but I've also seen that it's possibly to worse. Here the example, the Asus Zenfone 3. Now, battery life real quick. As you can see, 2 hours and 24 charge. Not quite super quick charge, but it gets the job done. 13% of 60 minutes YouTube. That was for some reason weaker than I expected it to be. And then you can see my battery estimates, to keep it real quick, about 5 hours on data only, about 6 hours on mixed use, 7 hours on Wi-Fi only. And if you want to go the full day to root, just subtract about 1 hour each, and then you already have it. And that is pretty much identical to the Huawei Nova. So the bigger battery gets a little bit lesser because of the higher display, and that's why they are pretty much the same when it comes to that. Software, I won't really show off at all, because you can check that in pretty much every Huawei review. A lot of people just like it, and a lot of people just don't like it. You have theming engines. I think it is a capable software, but I get it if that's not everyone's taste. And same goes for the camera. I won't even show that off because it's identical. I did not notice any real difference toward the Huawei Nova. And if then, because I had a different lighting and different situations, but normal use was absolutely the same. So let's already go to the pros and cons. And if you actually like these shorter reviews, let me know. But like I said, don't get used to that. Premium build. Still, like the design, feels great in the hand, nice and round and smooth, premium top. Quite compact for a 5.5 inch, and this is still nice to see, because if you compare it with the Lenovo P2, like I said in that first impressions video, it is noticeably smaller, but of course this one has the bigger battery. Very good display, nothing wrong. It is a flagship level display, and yeah, top notch. Quite good speaker, quite good. Which means it's better than good, but it's not quite very good yet. Very good performance still, after all. Don't get me wrong, it is a very good performer, but there is still categories that I can go high up, for example, great, amazing, and so on, because it's still noticeably weaker than a flagship, where, for example, the Lenovo P2 or the Lenovo Z Play was already super close to flagship territory. Great plus battery life, solid software, and quite good camera overall. Now, the negative sides, like I said, the weak phone, the headphone jack, I'm generally not all that pleased from Huawei's headphones. They make them a little bit weaker than the competition, I would say. Only marginally noticeable, but I can notice it since I have tested all of these over the last year. Minor stutters and lag, as I said, they could have improved it a little bit, and mostly what I would wish for, actually not the lag or the stutters to be gone, but just use standard stock Android scrolling. Don't tinker with it. I don't know why they do this, because it just feels odd, especially if you have so many other phones that I've used in the past. And Huawei most noticeably changes the scrolling, which is just weird and not in a good way, I would say. Battery performance, not perfectly optimized. Like I said, there is room for improvement. And if I maybe back then on the Nova I didn't have that yet, haven't used the Moto Z Play or the Lenovo P2, I wouldn't know that there is actually still noticeable room for improvement. EMUI, not for everyone. That's why it's in bracket. I'm totally fine with it. And then value, which brings me to the point, because if, and this is very important, if you are in a region where this costs at around 300, which I have people already have paying for it, then it is still a very solid, high quality, top notch buy. But if you are in a region like I am, for example, here in Germany, Europe, 440. And for 440, I just can't really recommend this phone, even though it's solid, because you pay 350 for a Lenovo P2, which I think is better. You pay about 400, 440 for an OnePlus 4. You pay about, depending if it's on a flash sale, something like 400 about for an Action 7. Moto Z Play is about in that price regard. And these are phones that I would just say are better. Nothing else I can say. So a little bit of wrong timing and a little bit of mostly actually wrong pricing in some regions. In the regions where it's cheaper, it's still a solid buy, absolutely no problem. So don't get me wrong, it is a very good phone, it is a very good buy, but it really depends on how much it is in your region, because 440, I could not pay that, especially, and this is something that I wouldn't have said if I wouldn't have had the Lenovo P2 now for like 3 days now. This is a killer phone with pretty much no compromise for about 100 less. And this was the quick one, still about 10 minutes almost, but this is it. So I hope I gave you all the information. And like I said, if you want to know some details, just check the Huawei Nova review. It's pretty much the same. But that one had the benefit that it didn't have the strong competition in the 5-inch sector. So if you liked it, thumbs up, subscribe, comments down there below. And otherwise, wish you a nice day. And yeah, I know it was a little bit uncommon like this, but it is what it is.